Today's June 24th. We had to pick a bunch of vegetables today. Today's June 27th. And I think I'm going to cut half of the zucchini plant. See how it's broken up into two parts? I'm going to cut this first half because it's really not producing any zucchinis anymore. You have the flowers, but they're just the male shoots. So I'm going to cut half of it. Hopefully I'll still get something with the back half, but we'll see. Okay, I cut it all back. Roots are not doing good with this, so I'm not quite sure if this one will survive, but there's still a zucchini, so I'm going to let him grow and see what happens after it, because there's another one back in there. Maybe he'll come back, but it looks like I need to spray because the roots are really bug infested. So hopefully airing it out will help. See, look, I got slugs in there too, so yuck. So I think I need to treat it with something. If I lose them, I'll just pull them. I also have another zucchini that I planted. See, he's doing really well, so I do have a backup zucchini in case I lose the other one. Okay, here's your update on the peppers. As nice and green leaves that we have going on here, which is fantastic, but I'm barely getting anything for peppers. This is the first of the blooms of the peppers. See right down here that I have not been getting anything. So I'm wondering if it's competing with the tomatoes and there's just not enough sun because it's middle of the day right now, and as you can see I'm getting too much shade, so we might have to pull a couple trees. Here's the update on the tomatoes. I do have tomatoes that are starting to turn red and I've been able to pick, but not all of these tomatoes made it. I had to pull 2 of the tomatoes because they were just dying. So of the 6 tomatoes that I have in here, I am currently down to 4. As you can see, they're finally starting to turn red. And the update on these tomatoes in the bucket, yes, I am actually starting to get some nice red tomatoes on some of them, but some actually don't look good. I don't know if you could see that, but it's almost like a brown red tomato. Just kind of weird. But there's not a lot of growth. And I have my first sunshine cherries that are starting to turn yellow. My cherry tomatoes has grown tremendously. I do have some red tomatoes, so I've been able to pick some of these. But it's really getting crazy, growing overhanging. Almost taken over this section of the garden because the banana peppers right next to it is barely getting any sun. So, lesson learned for next year, better planning. Okay, update on the cucumbers. Cucumbers has been growing like crazy. We are pulling cucumbers on a daily basis. 1, 2 cucumbers at a time, which has been fantastic. I love it. growing like crazy. This plant does seem to be getting a lot of sun, which is good. This is the Space Saver cucumbers. And in the back of the garden, the Champion cucumbers is finally starting to kind of creep up the wall. And we've been able to pull some of the cucumbers, as you can see. It's growing. Some plants are still small and slowly making their way up. But it's kind of nice because since the other cucumber plant is growing so fast, this one's growing a little bit slower, so we can space out picking the cucumbers. But again, as you can see, there's not a lot of sun hitting the back of these plants, and it's the middle of the day. Update on the beans. We're getting really close to the end of the bush beans. Yes, we're still picking, and if you dig in there, we can still find it. But you can see we're really getting attacked by the beetles. But we're going to start pulling some of the plants that no longer have beans anymore in them. And the pole beans growing like crazy, and it's just so top heavy across here that there's a lot of greenery, but surprisingly there's not a lot of beans being picked. Look, you can see the beetles just attacking. So we have to spray, figure out how to get the beetles off. But we've still been able to pick a handful a day, at least, a heavy handful. But we need to figure out for next year, see if we're doing something wrong, because it's just growing crazy at the top. A lot of greenery, but not quite as much beans. And then this little update here, same here. These grew really, really fast, bush beans, and we've been able to pick, along with the other ones, a good handful a day. See, update on the banana peppers. We are getting banana peppers. They are starting to grow. Kind of surprised because they don't get a lot of sun, because the cucumbers and the tomatoes next to it are shading it. But we are getting a couple, which is a good start. Cayenne peppers. Look, tons of them. All starting to pop. At least on this plant and in the back on that plant. This one has mostly green leaves, and that one's just starting. However, just like the other set of peppers, I'm getting green, but no peppers yet. Little buds, but no peppers. And in the back, the eggplants are growing huge. And I have flowers. Let's see if some of these flowers turn into buds. Do you see right in there? I got some of them. We'll see. Quick update on this bed. A bunch of mixed tomato plants in here where they're blooming. I have tomatoes. They have not started to turn red yet. These were planted later, but we didn't tie them up correctly, and I have a couple of broken branches because they're so big. So I'm gonna have to either trim them or figure out, tie them up better, see where we go with these, but they're kind of growing like crazy. We'll see. And these two tomato plants, not a lot of blooms on them, so I think we're just gonna pull them. These were extras anyways. A little bit of tomato on here, but we're gonna pull them and, I don't know, throw something else in the bucket.